Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hello, you are listening to the podcast that's been on for, God, how long have we done this now?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
8 years? But I've been podcasting for 10 years. And this is Mike. You have a good time listening to the show I like. Going to the coast when it gets hot. It's so hot inland now. And that is not fun. Some people like heat. I like the
Mike's Daily Podcast.
nice cool breeze you feel when it's hot and you're out and a cool breeze hits you. I remember my grandma telling me
Mike's
that she was
Daily
somewhere in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah!
And she said, oh, it was a hot day, but then I felt a cool breeze hit me, and I was standing in this parking lot, and this nice, beautiful, cool breeze hit me. And she was just talking about it like it was the greatest thing. And back then as a kid, I'm like, really? Is that even necessary to talk about, Grandma? But it was, because cool breezes on a hot day is something we should appreciate. I'm bringing you this podcast today from the very cool Cafe Anyway. You can see pictures of that at MikesDailyPodcast.com. I got a picture of Cafe Anyway at the front of the website there. We're at the last place on earth, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, 10 today, Cafe Anyway. And I wanted to say that money, first off, Anna Nalick. She had a big song in the 2000s, in the early O's, as I like to call them, called Breathe. Remember all those songs that had Breathe in the title? You had Faith Hill singing Breathe. How did that one go? See, I'm thinking of the Anna Nalick one. She had one, Just Breathe. There were two Just Breathe songs. Anna Nalick had Just Breathe, and she kind of sounded like Jewel, so everybody was thinking it was Jewel singing.
And here's today's podcast picture.
But it was Anna Nalick. And then there was, Faith Hill's I Can Feel You Breathe, da-da-da-da-da, you dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, do-do-do-do-do-do. And she was big for a hot second. She was going to be like the big country artist that crossed over into the pop world. That ended up being Taylor Swift instead. And wasn't there a time when Carrie Underwood won a country music award and Taylor Swift, she was trying to make a big comeback in country after she got popular with Breathe? And then Carrie Underwood won the Country Music Award, and Faith Hill, you see her because they, had the camera on all the nominees like they do at award shows. And Faith Hill went, what? Like all upset. And then all over the internet, she was just kidding Basil. Basil's going, what? She was just kidding. Faith Hill was just kidding. No, that looked real. Faith Hill was mad. She was angry. Hulk smash. I'm wearing a Hulk shirt today. Just to let you know. And I was going to wear my Hulk shirt on Bart and leave for Bart and get to my little weekend side job at 8 o'clock. Was Bart running before 8? No. It doesn't run till 8 o'clock on Sundays. Everybody says the Bay Area is so, we're hedonistic, we're Satanists, we're just the most unreligious place on the planet, yet we practically take Sunday off. We're like Chick-fil-A. And we do have Chick-fil-A in the Bay Area. They all take off Sundays. We have Discount Tire or America's Tire. They're off on Sundays. I know, because when I had a big old friggin' nail screw something in my tire, could I go there on Sundays to get it fixed? No. So now we have Bart running not till 8 o'clock in the morning on Sundays. We are observing the Sabbath, my friends, here in the Bay Area. Look at that. So Anna Nalick had Just Breathe, Just Breathe. And she was big for a hot second. And I went to see her in concert at the Ventura Theater. And do you know who was in the audience? And she was getting up and running around and saying hi to people? Sissy Spacek. I was born a coal miner's daughter. She played Loretta Lynn in that movie ages and ages ago. Sissy Spacek. I don't know what she's done lately. She was also in Places in the Heart, I think. Was that the name of that one? She was this big actress in the 70s and 80s. She was Carrie. That's right. She was Carrie in the original Stephen King book turned into movie. Wasn't that John Carpenter? Was that the big scary movie guy? He also did Christine. I'm getting her name wrong, but Sissy Spacek. She was at this concert. She somehow knew Ann and Alec. She was friends with her or something. And Ann and Alec had just that one song, Just Breathe, and then faded into obscurity. But I met Ann and Alec. Very nice. I remember she had very striking blue eyes, which I don't think the music videos they did for her really brought the eyes out. They kind of hid her eyes. They had her blindfolded. Oh, what's this deal with Madonna always wearing an eye patch now? I'm walking past an Apple store yesterday in Pleasanton, and there's this big old, they got videos, a big monitor, I don't know, one of those walls that's like a big TV because Apple can afford it because they charge you way too much for their stuff. Anyway, Madonna is on the screen, and there's a lot of colors, red colors going on. And she's pushing some new album she's got an eye patch on. I don't get this. Why do we have Pirate Madonna? Pirate Madonna is taking over the world. I'm Pirate Madonna. Arr. So, back to money. Ann and Alec, hopefully she's making money somehow. Because she's definitely not, she only had that one hit song. I think she probably makes nice residuals off of that. But money is a tool, and it's important to remember that. I know we all get afraid of money sometimes. This is my little helpful tip to you today, is don't be afraid of money. Money is power. Money is the root of all evil, yes. Money is a lot of things, but it's also a tool. Saving money is power. Saving money is like a dam holding back water. That water can go nourish people, hot people on a hot summer day, cool them off. It's also can be used to push turbines to create electricity. It's actual power. Holding back on spending money and saving it and accumulating it in a bank is a tool. As you go outside a cafe anyway with me right now, Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcaster Valleyton today. Cafe anyway. People say to me, Mike, I can't save money. When I get money, I got to spend it. No. Think of saving the money as spending it. Spending it off in the future when you are going to really need it. When you are broke, remember that feeling deep in your gut of not having something, of not having it, and going, I think the people that I know that don't have money that are like, Mike, I don't have any cash or whatever. I've known these same people when they have money. So then they don't have it. Then they have it again, and then they don't have it. It's like, well, let's try and make it more consistent. Let's try and do the average. Let's try and. You don't have to, when you have it, have everything. Go and spend it on crazy things that you don't really need. It's money in the bank is I've always been a big fan of saving for a rainy day, because I have those rainy days and I'm like, oh God, good thing I had a couple bucks in the bank to be able to spend to solve that problem. So think of money in the bank as power. Think of money in the bank as you're spending it. You're actually spending it now, but in the future. You're spending it now on a future to solve a future dilemma, thus making the future brighter for you. The future so bright you have to wear shades. Timbuk3. That was my little... Because we all need resources. Yes, materialism is bad. Okay? Jesus said, don't be possessed by your possessions. Did he say that? Or did some guru say that? Well, I know Jesus was all about stop being materialistic. Give everything away and follow God. That kind of thing. Well, how about this? How about like what he was saying, but you also need the resources, the things you need. I'm not the one who's going to somehow make the connection to tell you that what Jesus said was money's good, because Jesus really didn't say that. He did accept a tax collector named Matthew. I know this because I got a Matthew in my name. He was okay with the tax collector, but don't, I'm not going to review the New Testament for you, but I am going to tell you that you need resources. Everybody needs resources, and be ready for the rainy days. I think Jesus would probably be okay with that. God helps those who help themselves. And if you have like a little supply closet of things that you need for when things get bad. In other words, let's say you keep around a hammer, a screwdriver, some necessary things. I think we get a little helpless. We got to make, with money, you become less helpless if you spend it correctly. And all right, I'm now bored myself with this topic. But I do want to say that there are some people that collect a bunch of crap, and they're not collecting things that they're going to need for the future. They just collect I don't understand antiques. Okay, antiques belong in a museum so that someday, we can all appreciate, and the museum holds onto it in a careful way, and our tax money goes to a lot of museums, so we're preserving the past so we can learn from the past so we don't repeat the past, and we can all have a better future. This podcast is all about trying to make your future better. Is what it is. And trying to learn from the past. But I know a guy who is collecting so much stuff that most people are going to go, huh? What? Why do you got that? And he's really doing it for himself. If it's going towards a museum, then just say that. I'm collecting this so I can give it to the Smithsonian so they'll have that. Which, by the way, I walked around in the background. I knew someone who worked at the Smithsonian. He gave us a tour of all the crap that they got in the back that you don't see in the museum. When it's in the museum, it's nicely prepared. They do the nice display. They got the nice music playing or something, or video, whatever. In the back, there's coffins. There are dead bodies in the back. I swear. This was the weirdest thing. We were walking around, and I think I was told not to talk about this, but this was like over 6 years ago, so I think I'm all right. There were these old Confederate, definitely from the Civil War, coffins. I'm not sure if there was actual bodies in there, but it was eerie and weird, and it was in the background of the Smithsonian. Anyway, that's fine. Let's learn from the past. Let's preserve the past so that people don't what if you grew up in a country that didn't have a civil war? Well, most countries have had civil wars. We had a humdinger of one. The statistic that gets thrown around is more people died in the Civil War than died in World War II or something like that. Or American soldiers anyway, which makes sense because it was American soldiers fighting American soldiers in the Civil War. And there was something to learn from that, from all the horror that came from that hopefully we never repeat. Okay, let me just bring this up real quick. Somebody left this for me, and it's the term hybrid radio. What is hybrid radio? Now, this show is not on a radio station. It's on the internet, obviously. That's how you are listening to it now. But there are the terrestrial radio stations, the stations that you hear because you've got a clock radio that can pick it up out of the radio waves. Those stations are trying very hard to make sure that you know that they have an internet presence, which is interesting because I remember when radio stations first began broadcasting their signals through the internet. So you'd be able to hear a radio station through their website. Along came AFTRA, this showbiz run organization that tries to get money for all the actors' works, saying, no, you can't put your radio station on the internet because you play the commercials that feature our actors that you're not paying when it gets played a second time on the internet. If that sentence made absolutely no sense to you, you're right. It makes no sense. So radio stations had to pull their signals off of the internet for quite a while, and I was really bummed when that happened. Then we found out, hey, we can actually block those idiot AFTRA ads and put our own in there. So now the internet is all over. The radio stations are all over the internet, and on things like iHeartMedia, the iHeartRadio app, which you can also find this podcast on the iHeartRadio app. On the TuneIn app, you can hear this show on the TuneIn app as well. But what's interesting, I would like to read this one paragraph to you. I believe this is attributed to Nick Piggott. Yes, his last name is Piggott. You little Piggott. That didn't sound very nice, did it? No, maybe it's Peugeot. Pigott? Piggott. I'm going to say Piggott. How about that? He's the project director at this company called Radio DNS. And he said hybrid radio recognizes that broadcast radio and the internet have different complementary strengths. He says hybrid radio creates two routes to the radio receiver, one via broadcast radio, the other via IP, in other words, through the internet. Broadcast is cost-effective, reliable, and robust, and is great for time-critical audio. Over the IP channel, we can deliver lots of additional metadata about the audio, high resolution, visual information, interactivity. So you can get even more information through the internet. I read that simply because that's the direction radio is going. And there'll be, for example, on these radio stations, I'm assuming at some point, like if you like the host, you'll be able to listen to their podcast. That will be connected through this hybrid radio thing. So expect there to be something called hybrid radio in the future. Want to let you know about that. And then also in the Podcaster Valley area, we got this guy by the name of Eric Swalwell, who ran for president, if you don't remember. This guy, very young guy. I don't think he has a neck. He's kind of this athletic-y type guy. And one of the things he does is he does these walks in the hills of Castro Valley. It's kind of cool. But he, a Democrat, sent this little email to me. Dear friends, yesterday we finally heard in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's own voice the findings of an investigation which found, quote, sweeping and systematic Russian interference in the 2016 election. All right. And a president obstructing justice at every turn. Special Counsel Mueller made perfectly clear that President Trump is not exonerated. In fact, he said that the president could be indicted for obstruction of justice after he leaves office. Then Swalwell continues, we will continue to fulfill our constitutional duty to oversee and investigate the executive branch. And he's saying this even though he's no longer running for president, because everybody running for president on the Democrat side is saying they're going to impeach Trump if they get into office. That's how they're going to get votes. Which, if you are a fan of Trump, you don't like that. And if you were let's say at one time a Democrat, let's say you voted for Obama, and then you like Trump, so you went and voted for him, you ain't going to like this. I don't like it when the word impeach is thrown around, and that is going to upset you if you hate Trump. But it is something, I lived through the Clinton years, and I know how crazy that got. Now, of course, that was over the frivolous little Monica Lewinsky thing. No big deal. And my idea does not probably match with yours. If you thought Monica Lewinsky, that was a big scandal and a president shouldn't behave like that, I agree. He shouldn't behave like that. But to actually impeach him over that was ridiculous. And it actually hurt the Republican Party when that happened, although they did get into office after Clinton. But I don't know. What I'm hearing from the Republican side is Mueller basically, he did not forcefully prove his argument, and a lot of things ended up coming back to bite him. and that he was not the best. They just put down what Mueller says until they find something that, oh, wait, this actually helps us. But, okay, I didn't want to go political there. I did. But I mainly did that because Eric Swalwell is in the Podcaster Valley area and no longer running for president. I didn't think he should run for president because he was just too young and too green. God, he only had like one term as a representative for us in the Bay Area. And who really cares about the Bay Area throughout the world? Who really drives frickin' Teslas except for the Bay Area? The rest of the world looks at us, the rest of the country anyway, and goes, what? What are those crazy Bay Area people doing? And one last thing. Israel's U.S.-backed Arrow 3 ballistic missile shield has passed a series of live interception tests over Alaska. I had to read that story because that just grabbed my attention. It's a big story today. You may or may not hear about it, but Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said this is a warning to Iran. Jointly manufactured by U.S. firm Boeing, Arrow 3 is billed as capable of shooting down incoming missiles in space, an altitude that would destroy any non-conventional warheads safely. It passed its first full interception test over the Mediterranean Sea in 2015. It was deployed in 2017 in Israel. It hit every bullseye, says Netanyahu. He also doubles as defense minister in Israel. There were 3 secret tests. And it was in Alaska. That's crazy. Alaska. The system's success in Alaska was held up by both Israel and the United States as a sign of the strength of their alliance. Okay. Anyway, it's not Cafe anyway. Just thought I'd point that out. All right. Did we cover everything? Ananelic, Alaska, missiles, money, Swalwell? I guess we did. So let's wrap up the show. Oh, but we are outside a cafe anyway, so we must say hi to these people. Hi, Mark. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. Hi, out there.
It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what.
What?
Benita's got a little bit of the allergies right now, I'll tell you what.
What?
Yeah, allergies. We need some of them missiles to shoot down those little allergy pollen thingies that cause allergies.
You want missiles to shoot down pollen?
Yeah, Mark, that's what because it's America. And Robert Mueller's an idiot.
All right. Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. Have some right now. Oh, boy.
Thank you. And what a great way to wrap up Cafe Anyway and Mike's Daily Podcast, because I found out through Huell Hauser, the late, great Huell Hauser, that at one time when you drank root beer, you had it concentrated in a tiny little bottle that you would buy, and then you would add some bubbly water, and then boom, you had root beer. And somebody years ago gave me a tiny little bottle of sarsaparilla, which is basically root beer, in taste anyway. And there might be slight differences, but I never got a chance to use this bottle to pour it into some bubbly water. And in fact, when I finally did try to, it was completely crystallized on the inside. Kind of like vanilla extract. You know how if you don't use it, it starts to crystallize? Yeah, that's what happened with this stuff. So, thank you for making me root beer and going through all that process of what you probably had to do with all the extract stuff. Right, Brewmaster?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Drink some, I'll cut you.
I don't think I want to drink it if you didn't actually use the stuff I was just talking about, because it's the end of the show. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Thank you for listening to FF episode 1876. Oh, and you can call me and tell me what you think about all of these topics we covered today. 336 Daily. That's 3 plus 3 equals 6. As in Mike Matthews. Daily as in this has been somewhat daily, this podcast this week. Check out the website too, and Ariel is here to tell you more about that.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
I forgot to mention the podcast pictures of a beautiful little sailboat that I saw yesterday as my lovely lady friend and Basil the Boxer and I went to Emeryville to cool off. It was like 60-something, whereas inland in Podcaster Valley it was almost 100. So we went there to cool off, and there was this beautiful little sailboat sailing along over there just off of the coast of the Emeryville Marina. And off in the background in this picture, you can see the huge Carl the Fog coming in through the pass there that the Golden Gate Bridge spans, coming into the Bay Area to cool us down. Hopefully it'll cool us down some more. See that picture now at MikesDailyPodcast.com.